Well, hello, and welcome to episode 179 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here, as always, with Michaela. And Michaela, today we are taking a trip down memory lane, going back to a sci-fi adventure from our childhood, like our young, like developmental days in a movie, Stargate. It spawned a lot of stuff, a lot of great TV shows, but the movie is where it all started. And we have this one thanks to Matt from Patreon, made the request for this. And as you know, Michaela, if we get a request for something, we're probably going to do it. And definitely, if a Patreon requests it, we're definitely going to do it. So thanks, Matt. Shout out to Matt.
Shout out to Matt. Yeah. All of our listeners are near and dear to us. But if you're a Patreon and you want us to cover, I don't know, anything, your favorite movie that we've never even heard of, we will find
We'll
it. We
we'll
will
even cover
find a cocktail
Stargate.
for it.
Yeah.
We'll even cover Stargate. That's not true. That's not true. Stargate's good. This was really fun because we got to find a cocktail. We got to go back to like 1994.
Mm,
I got to I
yeah.
got to relive some post-existential like weird alien vibes that also was giving like Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of vibes. It was very Staff of Ra. It was very mummy-esque before the
Yeah.
mummy even.
Before the
Like,
mummy. Yeah. And anytime you
yeah,
get to spend an afternoon with James Spader, that is a pretty good time.
that's true.
So let's do this, Michaela. Let's go ahead and take a quick break so we can go whip up a cocktail. It's going to be a galaxy wide. It's going to look good. It's going to taste pretty good. And we'll be right back to chat about it.
So Brian, this week's cocktail comes from cocktailwave.com. It's called the Galaxy Cocktail. And when I was looking at this, I was like, we have to
Mm,
find something that is going to live up to the name and the taste and the many layers that is within Stargate. Because the film Stargate kind of spawned a whole bunch of series. It spawned a whole bunch of like role playing. I had a friend in college who like lived and died by Stargate SG-1. And right after
oh,
college,
okay.
Stargate Atlantis came out, and it was like the biggest night of his life when they had the opening, like the first, series opener to Stargate SG-1 and or
Oh,
Stargate
okay.
Atlantis. It was huge,
Hmm.
and there were people with like weird things on their forehead, and then there was all this the costuming and LARPing. People were role playing, and it was really just this huge event. I remember in my early 20s, and so I needed to find something that I thought would be representative. And I found this cocktail. It looked really cool, and it's actually pretty easy to put together. And so I'm really glad that we're going to be able to share it with the world because it doesn't taste horrible either.
That,
Maybe
that's
that's not the
that's
greatest
true. Yeah,
way to
that's
define it.
don't put that on the billboard for it. It doesn't taste terrible. No, it does it tastes pretty good. It looks really cool. It harkens to like the coolest part of Stargates, right? When you're going through the Stargate
Sure.
and you're bending through like space and time and the stars are warping. It looks pretty cool. It looks pretty cool. And this one is an aesthetic gem that you're just going to have to put together. And it's pretty simple, which is great. So into a cocktail shaker, go ahead and put some ice and add to that 1.5 ounces of vodka, 1/2 ounce of blue curacao, 1/2 ounce of lemon juice, and 1/2 ounce of cranberry juice. And then what you're going to do to get your galaxy effect is you're going to put a pinch of edible glitter in there, or you could use some of like that liquid shimmer. We're going to talk about the way that this comes together and looks here after we do that. So go ahead and shake that up and then strain it into like a coupe glass or a cocktail glass. I use like actually like a globe, like a snifter kind of for mine because I
Hmm.
wanted it to kind of like swirl around in there when I was pouring it out. And it looked pretty cool. And then you can sip and enjoy. And this cocktail, Michaela, I thought was pretty good. Pretty good. It's a little bit tart on that side for sure because you got the cranberry juice there, you've got the lemon juice, so it definitely makes your mouth pucker. The vodka doesn't really like contrast it at all. But I read in the article from Cocktail Wave, they suggested that you could swap out to gin for the vodka. And I think the next time I make this, I'm going to do just that because I think the botanical goodness of the gin might help to contrast just that tartness a little bit. But this was pretty
Mm.
good. Little one note, but pretty good.
Yeah. I think this is a perfectly acceptable cocktail. Here's what I did to here are my tips, tips and tricks for drinking from Michaela and Brian on Drink the Movies. First of all, the vodka choice here. I was worried that it was going to be a little tart, and it was. So the next time I made it, because I made multiple versions of this, I added a flavored vodka. Which flavor? Any you like. If you think vanilla would be good, I added huckleberry flavor because that's what I had on hand. And I love my mountains. It really helped balance it a little bit, just a hint more of sweetness.
Mhm.
You could have also, instead of doing that, you could put in like a just a bar spoon full of like simple syrup if you have simple syrup on hand, just something to give it a little, just a little bit more sweetness because it was quite
Mhm.
tart. Um, Look, lemon juice, cranberry juice, use the best you can find. So use fresh lemon juice for this. You definitely want it to be fresh. Use a good quality cranberry juice that's not a cranberry juice cocktail. If you're going to do something like gran apple punch or something like that,
Yeah.
maybe don't worry about adding sweetness to the vodka because what you're getting is already pretty sweet.
Mhm.
Blue curacao, they are not all created equal. You can get a I think Mr. Tom's or Boston Tom's, something like
Mr.
that. Mr. Boston,
You were so close. So Mr. Boston is the right
Mr.
answer. Yeah,
Boston.
yeah, you are
Yeah.
correct. The blue curacao comes in many shapes and sizes. I used a really nice one from Gifford's. That's kind of
Yep.
the liqueur we prefer around here, and most of your higher end cocktail bars are going to do the same. You could definitely go like Mr. Boston, or there's some, you know, uh, much cheaper blue curacao options. And then there's even like you could just get like blue curacao mix, which is literally just blue colored simple syrup,
Sugar water.
basically is what that is. So maybe that's what the intention was to be used, was more of just the mixer as opposed to the actual blue curacao here. The blue curacao liqueur is blue in color, but it's orange in flavor. It didn't really add a lot to this because, like I said, all I got was tartness. And then for my edible glitter, Michaela, I used a gold edible glitter. That was the color I had. It didn't really specify what color you should have. So if you look at the pictures, mine turned out kind of green, right? Because the cocktail is pretty blue from that blue curacao, and then the gold glitter. What was interesting though is when I poured it, and the glitter was, all, striding through the drink. It was pretty green, and then it settled out and became more and more blue as the glitter kind of
Mm,
settled to the bottom. It was really, really cool. Yours was a little bit more shimmery though. So did you use glitter or did you use the
I did.
shimmer, which is
No.
a different beast altogether?
Yeah, so I used a gray or a silver edible glitter rather
Okay.
than gold. I had a couple of options. I could have used black. Black probably would have been looking really cool, but I really wanted to get this like deep blue and purple effect. And so what you could do as well is go ahead and shake it all, put it in your cocktail glass, and if you want to add like a layer of darkness kind of in the middle, you could put like another half ounce of cranberry juice, just tip
Hmm.
and pour a half ounce into the glass itself. It'll kind of pool at the bottom, but it will make this like dark purple center and it will look really like a galaxy. I think that may be what they were going for. I don't know. Mine looked much different than yours because of the glitter difference, but play
Hmm.
around with it because it's a really fun looking cocktail. And again, this is kind of one note. So the great thing about that is that it's going to be good for everybody. Very few people
Right.
are going to
Hmm.
tip their nose at this and say, "Oh, I don't like it because it doesn't have 30, different flavor profiles that could be hit or miss with people." So if you're making a big batch of this up for a party, that would be really great. Anything that's like spacey, I thought this was really fun. Just as fun as the movie was in 1994.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. That is the Galaxy cocktail. Go ahead and mix one of those up. Let us know how you put yours together and what kind of color combinations and flavor combinations you came up with. But for now, Michaela, what we should do is we should go ahead and mix up another one of these. We'll take a quick break. We'll decipher some codes, and we'll be right back to chat about this week's film, Stargate.
One man will break the code and open the door.
Well, this should read Stargate. That was in front of us the whole time.
The other will lead the way.
Why are you here?
I'm here in case you succeed.
Spoiler warning for Stargate. If you've not yet seen this film, you should, because we're going to talk about all the things. We're going to talk about the end. We're going to talk about the beginning. We're going to talk about the crazy science. We're going to talk about James
Yeah,
Spader and the best haircut I've ever seen on James Spader. Gosh, he looks
pretty
amazing
good.
in this film. Anyway,
It's
we're going to
pretty
talk
good.
about all the things. So if you've not seen Stargate or any of the other Stargates series and you have no idea what we're talking about, do yourself a favor. Press pause, go watch the first film. It's like 95 minutes long. No, it's not. It's like 2 hours long, but it watch it and then come back, make yourself a galaxy cocktail, and then we can chat about all the things and you won't miss out.
And you won't miss out. That'll give you time to decipher all seven symbols, and that will get you through the Stargate ready to go. So, Michaela, this was released in 1994. We were just youngsters. Then it was directed by Roland Emmerich, and it stars James Spader as Dr. Daniel Jackson, the only man that can decipher the Stargate symbols, and Kurt Russell as Colonel Jack O'Neill, the man with nothing to lose, who is tasked with leading the team through the newly opened up portal. So, Michaela, let's get into the movie here. I like it. It starts, ancient Egypt. It's like the 1920s. They're digging. I really love kind of the kind of like the set design and things. I don't know if they're like in location somewhere, if they're doing this on like some sort of like soundstage somewhere. It's hard to say, but it looks awesome because they're in Egypt. They're digging around and they uncover something. He's like doing a little brush thing over top of these stones and they pull it up and it is this giant ring. It looks scary. I would be concerned myself in the 1920s if I would have seen it. I was concerned in 1994 when I saw it, and I was concerned again because that circle, it looks like nothing but trouble.
Nothing but trouble. Ugh, not good. I love this opening scene. I love the art direction in general of this film. I think it's really inspired. I think that it actually inspired a lot of other things because this came
Hmm.
first, and they can deny it all they want, but we know the truth. Um, I really
Yes.
like this necklace that she's got. This little girl has got that's got like the Eye of Ra on it.
Hmm.
You see it throughout the film, but you see it first here, and they're just cleaning it up, so it looks very different than it does by the end of the film, which I really like. Yeah, this the opening is very kind of epic, and you think about like time travel and the anthem of kind of what makes you the reason probably why everybody is just so fascinated with Egypt in general, and like
Hmm.
all of the things that are unknown. We don't know why the pyramids were here. We don't really know how they were built. We don't really know all this stuff. And alien seems like a really cheap and easy answer, but probably not entirely the wrong answer. And that's what I really love about this is that at the beginning it fills you with this like want to know more from this child perspective, and then we're immediately like thrown into 1994 where there's this guy Daniel Jackson who's literally getting laughed off of the stage while he's trying to explain some really esoteric translation to hieroglyphs, and people are telling him, or asking him pointed questions, and he's answering honestly, and people are literally like walking off and leaving him in an empty room to present in. And he's got that same like childlike love and like curiosity that we see in the little girl at the beginning. And I really like
Hmm.
I don't know if they meant to make that connection, but I definitely felt it.
You felt it. Okay. Yeah. There's an older lady and they're watching him as Daniel Jackson is floundering around on that stage. It's just played by James Spader there. And, he's talking about all this Egyptology stuff and everyone's, kind of asking him questions and then, deciding that he is not worth their time. So everyone kind of, just walks out of this presentation basically. And I don't know, he says something about is there lunch or something. It's pouring down rain. He goes outside. He doesn't have an umbrella. Was not a forward thinker there, but luckily there is a car outside that is waiting for him. There's like these two guys that come with umbrellas to like keep him out of the rain, but they like keep dumping the rain on him. It's pretty great. It's pretty great. And he gets into the car with this old lady. Question, Michaela. The old lady was right in that room. The room was empty. Why couldn't she just ask him there? Maybe she needed to, get him on her turf there in the back of this fancy limousine type car, town car kind of thing. And she lays it out for him. She's like, "Look, I got this necklace. That's pretty cool. You seem to know what you're talking about. So what you're going to do is you're going to come work for me because I know that you're like getting evicted from your apartment, which seems weird, like a whole like weird kind of side story for him. But she's like, you're going to come work for me now. And he's like, all right, I guess so.
I guess I will. Sure. But she gives him like a ticket back. And this is when it starts to show its age. Like she gives him a physical paper ticket. Like here's a ticket somewhere, and he's like, oh, I'll show up. Okay. Um, and he's on his way to go work for her. She seems really mysterious, and you realize that that's the little girl who's older.
Hmm.
And that's kind of cool. You're like, what is she going to show him? Is it anything to do with this big like giant ring thing that they like uncovered? What is that?
What
What's
is that? That's that's right. Yeah, what is that? And we're going to find out soon enough. But before we find that out, we're going to find out who Kurt Russell is. Kurt Russell is playing a character by the name of Colonel Jack O'Neill. We go to like his house. Like some military guys show up at this random house. They go knock on the door and talk to this lady, and she's like, "Yeah, he's here, but good luck talking to him." Because we go up to a room and you see like a bunch of like little like baseball like certificates and like achievements and little trophies and things and pictures and kind of panning around this room. And then we see Kurt Russell there, right, playing Jack O'Neill, sitting on the bed, very, very distraught and, very detached feeling. And, the people kind of, knock on the door and say, hey, you're back in duty now. And he's like, For what? And they don't really say. They just leave. And we're going to find out soon enough that he is back, being Colonel, the one and only Colonel that can go through the Stargate to set things straight. He's taken over there. So kind of our two parties are coming together to this place to look at the Stargate.
Yeah, which they don't even know what it is. So I love this scene because Daniel Jackson's brought into this room and he's looking at all these hieroglyphics, and in about 10 seconds he's like crossing things out. He's like, who translated this? This is horrible. And the guy's right there and it's like, oh, that was me. And he's like, well, you have no idea what you're doing. And so in
And it's
literally
Richard
30
Kind,
seconds
and Richard
it's
Kind's
Richard
awesome.
Kind.
Yeah.
He just looks so defeated. He's like, I worked on that for months. And in 30 seconds, he just completely eviscerates like whatever this translation was, which was basically the star, like son of the gods or something. And he's like, no. It's a Stargate. Whatever they're talking about this gate to stars, whatever that is. And they're like, well, let's show it to you. So they go into this other room. There's a bunch of military people there, and everything kind of it's open, and somehow they have figured out a way to hold up this circular thing that was found in the sand, in 1928 in Egypt. And now they can figure out, and they know that it can move. Somehow they can make it move. And it's like a cipher almost, is what it reminded me of, like a very big cipher where you just have to know like the combination. And I love this because they bring Daniel Jackson into this room full of a bunch of generals, and they're like, we don't know what this is. We don't know anything. We should blow it up. We should, Kurt Russell's character, Jack O'Neill, is like, I don't know what this is, but that's why I'm here, because we're going to have to figure out what kind of life form we're looking at. And Daniel Jackson is super smart. And so he like draws out this really simplistic view that, the military can understand, and is like, all we need is to decipher what codes we have. And I bet I can figure that out, because I was able to translate this in 14 seconds flat. No problem.
No problem. Yeah, I like it. The old lady's there, and she asks, Colonel Jack, why he's here, and he's like, "I'm here in case you figure out how to open it." Love that. Dun dun dun. But they get it going, right?
They do.
Dr. Jackson there, he deciphers the last one. It was right there the whole time. Seems like they could have probably figured that out, but it's there. Got the cipher going. And it's gonna open up this portal, right? The center of this big like circular arch kind of thing. It starts like going like crazy, like water. It looks like the abyss in there. So what are they going to do first? First, you send a robot through. Of course, that's what you do to see what happens, right? So it goes through, and I like they can kind of like they lose like contact with it, but they kind of like track it like through the stars, and they can figure out that it went like basically all the way across like the known galaxy, right? To the other side of the galaxy is where this thing went. They don't really know like what happened to it or anything, but they know they learned a couple things, right? They know where it went, more or less. And they know that there's breathable air there, so that's good. So now we're ready to send some people through, right? So you got Colonel Jack O'Neill, him and his team. They're going to go through, but a little bit of a problem, Michaela, is you need someone to figure out the decipher to get back, right? So you can't go through without a way to get back, and it's probably not the same code. That would have made too much sense. Going to be a different code, so we're going to have to take someone with us. Luckily, Dr. Daniel Jackson's like, I could do that, no problem. Don't even worry about it. I got it. They say, James Spader, strap up, let's go.
Let's go. I mean, this guy, he's very typical. He's like, I've got allergies, he's got this really beautiful hair that probably needs a terrible
fake conditioner. Sneeze. A terrible fake sneeze, James Spader. You're amazing in so many ways, but sneezing, not a good one.
Not your best work there. But so he's very I don't know, naive. He's very childlike for a guy who's like supposed to be a genius Egyptologist, right? They kind of go in. I love the scene where they walk in, and they walk through it, and he's immediately like thrown off, and all these special force guys, they're like, it's fine, you'll be fine. And he's like, I did I bring my inhaler? it's not his bag. So they decide to set up camp while they're trying to figure out where they actually are, because they get through the portal and they're in this weird like pyramid. There doesn't seem to be anybody around. They're in the middle of the desert. And Jack O'Neill's like tells the crew, hey, go and set up camp. They're doing that. And of course, Daniel Jackson is like, hey, they don't seem to like me very much. He seems like really put off that they're not super friendly to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's kind of looking around and he's like, I don't know if I can actually, I don't know.
Well,
So
yeah,
apparently,
they don't like him because they show up and he's like, "All right, guy, go and decipher that thing so we can go back." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I can't do that." He's like,
this is a lot harder than I
"What
thought
do
it
you
was going to
what do you mean
be.
you can't do that? You just said that you could do it, and now you say that you can't." But yeah, I got to find some more information, right? You can't decipher a code without some sort of like
You need a
keystone of the
primer or
code.
like, yeah,
You
yeah.
need something more than you got. And right now, you don't have anything. But yeah, I'm with those guys. I'd be like, oh, "What are you talking about, guy?"
Yeah, so they're real mad. They're like, I mean, and there's like 5 or 6 of them. And it's interesting because they're like talking back and forth and they're like, we're on this planet, we don't know what's going on. I would be losing my mind if it were me, but they're like cool, calm. It doesn't bother them that they're literally on the other side of the known galaxy. It doesn't bother them that they don't have like that all they have is like a few weapons, and they might like starve to death because they don't even know if there's any food or water because they're in the middle of the desert planet.
Hmm.
But that's okay. That's okay. They do end up seeing a weird thing in the back in the distance, and
Yeah.
they do it because they end up throwing Daniel Jackson's stuff off on the other ridge of this dune, and so he goes and he's trying to pick up all his books, and he sees this like camel looking thing, but it's not a camel. It's like a very gross looking dog with a face that looks like a turkey. It's real strange.
It is very strange. It's kind of off-putting, but also kind of cute and lovable, right? It's there and it's going to take a liking, I guess, kind of to Dr. Daniel Jackson, but gets scared a little bit as you do. And then of course it has a rope tied to it, which conveniently goes around Dr. Jackson's ankle and is going to drag him off into the distance. And the rest of the military guys have to go in pursuit. But luckily, that was a bit of fortune, right? Because this camel-looking thing drags you right to a tribe of people that are inhabiting this place that kind of looks like ancient Egypt, and then this tribe of people look like they are also maybe Egyptian, but the communication is a little tricky, right, Michaela? Because you have Dr. Daniel Jackson there, who's like a linguist, he's like an Egyptologist, and they're like, "Can't you talk to these people?" He's like, "Well, yeah, maybe for sure I can do that." He's very quick to say he can do things that he doesn't know for sure if he can do or not. But he goes. We learn a couple of things, right? We meet like the leader of this tribe, and we learn that they're not allowed to write and they're not allowed to read, right? That's forbidden in this. But they see that necklace, right? That little like a little like medallion with Ra
Mm-hmm.
on there, and they're like, "Ooh, you guys must be someone that we need to take care of because Ra, we know Ra, and Ra is our guy."
Yeah, yeah, they're scared of him, but they're also like super reverent. Um, and so Daniel Jackson's like, "Hey, like, guys, we should just make friends with him." I love when they invite him to eat at their table, and they've got this weird thing that looks like a giant armadillo
Yeah,
slash
it's like an aardvark.
dinosaur. Yeah, like exactly, half aardvark, half armadillo, and it's got this weird food like inside it, and they're like, "Hey, we should eat." And I love this because this is again Daniel Jackson. He's not worried if they're going to poison him. He's not worried if maybe he shouldn't eat this stuff if it's not good for the humans from Earth versus the humans from wherever they are. He just puts it in his mouth and then he's like, "Huh, tastes like chicken." And then he impersonates a chicken, which everybody laughs at. Jack O'Neill is just kind of throwing his hands up. He's like, "Oh, I just want to be left alone." He goes into like a back room to smoke a cigarette. He's like, "Oh, y'all are too people-y for me. I need to be away from y'all." But
Yeah.
Daniel just immediately like finds his people. Like he ingratiates himself to this tribe.
Hmm.
And he starts to kind of make friends with some of the folks. One of the leaders like gives him his daughter, maybe I think it's his daughter. I don't know.
Hmm.
Gives him one of the women.
Yeah.
That creates a very interesting dynamic between Daniel and Shiori, I think is how her name is. She's kind
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
yeah, she kind of is like offered as like a here, take her kind of situation. And he's like, nah,
He's
that
like,
ain't how it works on Earth. But that's not how it should work anywhere.
that's not really how it should work. The most interesting aspect of that is, yeah, she is given as a gift, and Dr. Daniel Jackson, very respectable, very upstanding young gentleman, says, no, 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 no. And then he goes outside, and like her dad is there, and is like offended they didn't take her, like there's something wrong with her. But so they go back in, to no big deal, and then later he finds out that this lady is married, and he's like, oh, okay, let's go then. It's time to go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're supposed to have gotten married when he gave her to, I don't know. They didn't have a ceremony. There wasn't a group picture. I don't know. I don't know what constitutes a
No
wedding
bouquets, no bouquets. Yeah,
in Kusif's tribe, but
that was kind of strange. The other thing that is strange and amazing we should talk about, Michaela, is Colonel Jack O'Neill, Kurt Russell, his haircut. It is like the flattest of flat tops in the world. Like it's amazing. Like they had like a laser level out to get it just so. It looks real
yeah,
good.
it does look real good. I don't know how he did it because it also looks really soft, although it literally sticks up a good like 2 or 3 inches up above his forehead. I don't know how it's possible. And in the first scene, when he is like in his son's bedroom with a gun, probably thinking about ending his own life, his hair's like
Hmm.
real long. He looks like very Beach Boyish, like
Yeah,
from the late 70s. So he somehow goes from that to this weird flat top in that stays really high no matter what. I don't understand it. They don't seem to have hair products on this planet, but whatever. I love the scene
it's good.
where
It's all good.
he like shows uh what there's a kid and his name is what do they does he even have a name? He's really cool. I really like the actor. The comedic activity is really great because he doesn't speak any English that we understand,
Hmm.
but he
Yeah,
is really obsessed with Colonel O'Neill's lighter and like being just like him because Kurt Russell looks pretty cool. I mean, in every movie, he doesn't look bad, you know.
looks pretty cool.
He's
He's
still
cool.
really
Santa
cool as
Claus.
he's like the
He's
best.
cool. He's cool. This guy, Colonel Jack. Yeah, I like the kid. He comes in, right? They smoke like the cigarettes, and the kid ends up coughing. He gives him his little Zippo lighter, which is good, right? The gift of fire. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good gift there. Thanks, Jack O'Neill, for that. And he sees the guns, but he gets very upset, right? When the these this tribe of people tries to take the guns. Doesn't like that. Doesn't like that. Let's check back in. So we got Dr. Daniel Jackson. He's looking. He's like, I need that seventh symbol. I need something to guide me on my way. Have you ever seen any of these things? And luckily, his new bride, his new lady friend, is like, oh yeah, I know where those things are. Let's just go. So they just pack up, they leave, they go inside of that pyramid, and sure enough, there are a bunch there. So he finds all that he needs, except for one. So pretty good. 6 of the 7. That's not too bad. We're off to a good start at least. But bad news is because Ra, that the sun god that was on that symbol that they all seem to revere and be afraid of, he's about to show up in his pyramid, his pyramid shaped and sized spaceship. Come down, rain terror down, says, what's going on? I don't want any uproars. The last time this happened in Egypt was bad for me. I don't want that to happen again. Got to show
Right.
up.
Got to show up. Yeah, I do find it a little bit of a plot hole, right? Because they were in the pyramid, and I guess there are lots of hallways that they did not go down when they were trying to get out of the pyramid that
Mm-hmm,
could have
hmm.
shown them these markings before. But whatever.
It might have been the
I do
first place I
love.
would have looked instead of just wandering
Might
off
have been.
into the desert
Might
to
have been.
look for it. I don't know.
Who knows?
Maybe that's just me.
Um,
I'm,
yeah, yeah. Bygones. We're moving at the speed of plot here. So Daniel Jackson is like he sees this giant wall of hieroglyphics aside from the primer kind of symbols that he gets all 6, but he needs the 7th, and he tells the story of this alien being that's not really Ra, but it's from somewhere, and that it was dying, it was lonely, it was looking for a place to survive, and it found Earth, I guess, or it found this planet, and it found a young boy, and it decided to invade the boy's body somehow. I don't really know what happened to the soul or the mind of the boy, but he's long gone. So instead, Ra, this alien being, is now inhibiting this body that can be healed really easily with this alien technology. He goes into like this light coffin, and everything's fine. He could be, I don't know, decapitated, and he would wake up totally fine every day. It's
fine.
wonderful.
Oh
I
yeah.
need one of those. I need one of those. But basically, he has this Ra character has kidnapped people from Earth using the Stargate technology, and moved them here so that they could continue to mine this really cool metal and continue to sustain Ra's life. So Ra is coming in. I think he came in for like a transfusion. He needed some of this metal, and that's why he showed up in the first place. I'm
Yep.
not really sure, but he's showed up to see that, the Stargate's being used again. He didn't like that. He destroyed, or he was there when they destroyed the first one, or tried to destroy the first one on Earth, because they had this uprising. And that's why he's like, no one can ever talk. No one can ever write. No one can ever, read. Like,
Yeah.
communication is bad. Knowledge is bad.
That's right. Yeah, just ban
Ban my
all the
style as
ban
a
all the
dictator.
reading.
It's not good.
It's true for Ra, is true today. Just you just get rid of all of it.
Let's just keep people ignorant. It's fine.
Ra has a cool little like thing on his like wrist and hand. It's like a garage door opener. He pushes it and these rings come down from his
Oh
ship to the
yeah.
other ship. That's pretty good. And there's a couple of people, right, that are alongside of Ra. Some other like Egyptian god types that are there that are kind of wrangling this crew up. But when Colonel Jack O'Neill, he's not one to just lay down without a fight, right? He's gonna throw one of the guys to the ground, try to get the upper hand on one. He gets captured, but in the firefight there, Dr. Daniel Jackson, he takes a shot to the chest from this ancient Egyptian staff. That's not bad. That's not good. That's not good. But yeah, then he goes up and into the ship and goes into that like sarcophagus kind of thing, right? That's like the coolest like thing in the whole show. I really love this, and really it's any of like these movies from like the mid 90s, early mid 90s, because like the practical like effects, like someone like built that and they filmed it, like that's really cool, right? They're not using
Yeah.
computers. Yeah, someone had to make that, but the little like coffin tomb thing, it looks really really cool as it's kind of
Yeah.
like sliding around, coming together and stuff like that. So Dr. Daniel Jackson, he's fine because he laid in that people are easy to heal, right? That's what Ra says. That's why I picked humans to go and take the body of, right? Because it's easy to fix them. So that's good. That's good. And now he's got Dr. Daniel Jackson on his side, or so he thinks, right? He says, go out there, prove to all these people that you're going to do my bidding, and that's going to make them calm down and stop trying to have this revolution. But they're not going to go along with that plan, right? They're going to fight back, and they're going to come up with a better plan to usurp Ra and figure out how to get back home.
Yeah. So I love this. The color. I want to talk a little bit about the color scheme in the, I don't know, the tomb. Everything is like magenta or like teal.
Yeah.
We needed a lot of
Gold,
contrast
lots of gold.
lots of gold. And I don't know if this was not quite like the Matrix moment that a lot of people had when the Matrix came out. This is only a couple years before that, but when they press the buttons on their helmets and have the helmets come off. I thought that was so cool when you first see it, because it comes off in like pieces. I have no idea how they did it. It's like they filmed it and then they had the person stand still and film like,
and just like pasted it over their head,
pasted it over it or something. It looks
because
less
it's kind of like
cool
this.
now.
It looks pretty.
Right?
No,
Because
it looks really cool. It's like a stop motion
it's really good.
thing, right? They probably made like a model of it and then kind of pasted over. But yeah, it looks really cool. Same with that, and same with like the rings that come down, right, to go up into the spaceship. Same kind of thing.
Yeah, I really like the look and feel of this, because it definitely harkens itself to something that is entirely Stargate like to me, and I really love that. But when they go out and Daniel Jackson, I mean, if you're going to be Ra, if you're smart enough to like figure out how to like cheat death and like create an entire world dedicated to your survival, I don't know if I would tell my master plan to a scientist guy. I don't know. Maybe your faith in him. I mean, he was able to figure out how to get to you. I don't know if I tell him that you want to like, send this big bomb back to Earth and destroy it. I don't know. But he does. He makes that mistake, and I love the scene where they make their getaway, because basically, all they have to do is cover these guys that are in all black with like shrouds that look like the desert, because everybody looks the same comparatively. They're all wearing these light colored things. So, Jack O'Neill like tips off one guy and like shoots him, and then this shooting breaks out, and then they run towards the group of kids, and the group of kids like just covers them up with these blankets, and they keep running, and now they look like everybody, right? So it's kind of a problem because Ra gets real mad and goes back to the original village and like shoots a bunch of things up, and everyone's really upset that they thinking now that they should have never trusted the strangers and stuff like that. But the kids know the truth. These kids know that they're gonna help these Jack O'Neill and now his like one or two other crew because everybody else has been killed, and
Everyone else is dead. Yeah, yeah. I like
they got to
Ra
figure that out.
has like an air force. There's like a couple of planes that like shoot out from his pyramid spaceship there. That's pretty cool. They go and they're shooting around. But luckily, we're going to be able to get out of here, right? Because we need that seventh symbol still. Trying to figure out where that is, and luckily that kid just starts drawing it on the wall. Dr. Daniel Jackson says immediately, he's like, "Oh, I know what the seventh symbol is now," which is pretty fortuitous that this kid, who's not been his whole life been allowed to to read or write, can remember this thing and draw it up there. But he knows what the symbol is right now. But bad news, because earlier from Raw, we found out that Raw has the bomb, right?
Yeah,
Colonel Jack O'Neill brought a bomb along with him, and
that's what you do.
everyone is like, "Why are you bringing a bomb here, guy?" And he's like, "Well, I wasn't going to tell anyone this, but when we left, I was going to stay behind and blow up the side of the Stargate." Which is good. That's very forward thinking. I mean, he even said it right at the beginning, right? He's like he's like, if you ever get that working, then I'm here to like basically make sure that it doesn't work anymore. So, he was true to that, and it goes back to like very first scene when we meet him, right? Like through the whole movie, I'm like, we're ever gonna like address the fact that he was sad about his kid, and this is why he's there to sacrifice himself, right? On the other side of that, nothing to live for. Wife at home be damned, but sad about my kid. So, gotta go through and blow this up. But Ra has the bomb now, and Ra says, "You know what? This bomb is cute and all, but I have these minerals. I can make this bomb like 1,000 times more explosive than you ever could. I'm gonna send it back with you and blow up like Earth, basically, or something." And that sounds bad. So they're gonna have a bit of a tussle over that bomb. We're gonna have to get that back into our hands while Dr. Daniel Jackson gets the seventh symbol going, and everything's coming to a head. Right? There's a big ultimate fight. There's a big ultimate showdown. But luckily, all of the people, all of the tribe there are going to show up over the ridge, the last moment, to swing the tide in the favor of Colonel Jack O'Neill.
Yeah, yeah. Somehow all of that happens. It's very pretty. It's really epic looking. I don't know how they did it. It's it's got this kind of anthem feel at the end where inside of the villain's lair, inside that tomb with all the magenta and teal everywhere, they're like fighting and with the guards, and the guards are dying, and then we use that like elevator thing to like decapitate one of the guys, and it's kind of
Hmm.
gross, but it's kind of cool. And um so while that inner battle is happening, the outer battle is happening, and it's a bunch of kids end up dying, and including one of my favorites. I think his name was Horace. I'm not sure. He was really cute. He always had this really big smile, and they always kind of made fun of him as like the jokester of the kid crew, and he dies, and that's really sad. But they are able to get the one up on Raw. Ra's like taken off. He's like, I'm out of here. And they're like, that's fine, go away. But not before we use that elevator thing to take the bomb that is like
Yeah.
surely set to like 10 seconds, and there's nothing they can do. First of all, okay, I don't know who created I mean, we have knowledge, right? We've had the atom
Mhm.
bomb.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the atom bomb has been in I don't know, in existence for like 60 or 70 years, maybe like 50 at this point of in 1994, right? I mean, I can't
Yeah.
remember exactly when it
Right.
was created, but surely we know what it's supposed to look like. And there's like a key, and then there's like a switch, and that's it. That's all there is to it.
That's all there
Um
is. It kind of looks like a Dyson vacuum,
it does a little bit. Oh
which
my gosh,
which
it
is
totally
pretty
does.
awesome.
That's where he
But
got the
that's great.
idea.
Yeah, he's got that the bomb there, right? I like Roz, like you guys figured out how to harness the power of the atom, which is good, but his stuff is more powerful. But yeah, Colonel Jack O'Neill sets this bomb to go off. He's like, listen, James Spader, we gotta go, right? I'm gonna set this bomb. This bomb's ticking. So go do what you need to do, get that thing opened, or else we're all done for. And then yeah, they ended up sending it up to the to Ra's ship, which is really great. Maybe my favorite part of this whole thing is they send it up to his ship, but it still has like 10 seconds left on the bomb timer, so it's just like 10 seconds of like real time of him just like looking at this bomb, which is pretty fun, I think, pretty fun. So yeah, they blow up Ra's ship, and they're able to go back, right? So Colonel Jack O'Neill and the other two like surviving members of his team gather their stuff and they say, okay, well, I guess it's time to go home. And Colonel Jack O'Neill realizes that there is stuff to live for, right? To go home and see the rest of your family, right? You can't just go abandoning them. That's not good. That's not good. So he's going to go, but Dr. Daniel Jackson, he has something to live for right there, right? With Sha'uri, his new bride, right? He's going to start a life
Right.
there, riding around weird camels and doing whatever it is that he's going to do there, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Living without air conditioning. More power to you, dude. That's
The
fine with
end.
me, Daniel
The
Jackson.
end. No more movie, right? They just walk through. You get the awesome like little like wormhole thing that they go through where the stars kind of elongate. It's really cool. It's like it's basically like the opposite direction of like the Star Wars one, but it looks really
Mhm.
really cool. And that's just and then it's like boom, the end. Like don't even worry about what happens to these people. It's over
Yeah.
now.
It's all good. Um, yeah, and so that's the film. That was I feels really short. It was like our short interpretation. Um, it's worth saying there was a director's cut. There were several
Yes.
scenes that were cut.
Hmm.
That really kind of hollow out, round out some of these the story about like how people were abducted by Ra and um kind of how that all falls into like this lore around Anubis. And so if you've seen that, you can see the director's cut. That's something you can look at.
Hmm.
It's got an extra couple of scenes. But I don't know if you ultimately are missing much there in terms of the storyline. But somehow this film, which was apparently supposed to be part of a trilogy and
Hmm.
then did
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
did not become one, this film sparked, I don't know, 8 seasons of Stargate SG-1, and then like 5 seasons of Stargate Atlantis, and now there's like Stargate Event Development or Stargate Endeavor or something like that. There's a lot more that this
Yeah.
spawned, which is pretty interesting to me.
It is pretty interesting. Yeah, there's also Stargate Universe, Stargate Origins, and Stargate Infinity. And then there even like been talks like pretty recently about bringing Stargate back to the forefront. Amazon/MGM have been talking about doing a reboot here over the last couple of years, but nothing I could see ever happened with any of that. Yeah, Michaela, on one hand, yeah, this is very short, and there's a lot of like action and stuff that is happening. There's not a lot of like any sort of like character development really in this movie. And I'm wondering because Roland Emmerich did this in 1994 and then did Independence Day in 1996, I believe. And one of the criticisms that uh, Independence Day had was that people felt like it was like way too over explainy on all these characters, kind of backstories and things.
Mm,
And I think that was a criticism for this one that it didn't do enough of that. So I wonder if it was kind of like an overcorrection there. But it's interesting because like this was not particularly like lauded, like it was not like critics didn't care for it at all, and people seemed really kind of like lukewarm on it. Like a lot of people really loved it, but most people were like, it's fine, kind of a thing. But it spawned like this whole thing, and it made a ton of money, which is really great. It made like $200 million, which is a lot of money, in 1994 for a film to pull in. So yeah, it went on to spawn all of this stuff. And the premise of Stargate, I think, is awesome, and maybe that's what people loved about it. And then it went on to SG-1, which had MacGyver in it. Who doesn't love that? Like the idea of Stargate was like way more powerful than this film of Stargate, maybe. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty profound thought, right? Where if you can figure out gates to other worlds and immediately move from place to place, I think that, we've, the whole idea of the fly came from this idea of, moving people and things immediately from one place to another, folding space and time, right?
Hmm.
There's a bunch of really cool ideas that this film had in it. Again, the look and feel I really like. It definitely, if you like The Mummy and you haven't seen this, go watch it. I think you'll like it. Is it the best film of all time? No, I don't think it was trying to be. it takes itself seriously enough to be I don't know, respectable. It made a ton of money, and you can see why. It's a fun ride. The acting is pretty great for what they were given. I mean, I don't think other than James Spader's lack of being able to sneeze effectively, I think that it's pretty well believe. I mean, the characters are fairly believable given what they have.
Yeah, I mean, one of my complaints about the film, the character wise, the acting wise, Dr. Daniel Jackson, James Spader's character, he's meant to like come off as this buffoon, but James Spader's like so cool, like I was having a hard time believing that he was like fumbling around like through the stuff, like especially like early in the film. I'm like, nah, James Spader is cool. He's a cool cat. He's not gonna like be messing around with this. And then like even later, he like it's totally like Captain Suave with this lady, right? Just out of nowhere. So I was like,
Yeah,
if you want like a like he would have been better played, I think, as like uh as Ian Malcolm, right? Like this like cool character. Like that's James Spader's scientist, not this
yeah.
nerd Daniel Jackson.
Yeah, they're like, would you if I describe the word dweeb, if I said the word dweeb, would you know him? Yeah, he definitely doesn't look like a dweeb. I mean, he's incredibly good looking in this film. He's way too good looking for his own good. Because he's got that like really great like 90s suave hair. It's right before the
We had
Leonardo DiCaprio
yeah,
hair from Titanic. Like he's got these cool glasses, and he does immediately like land the most beautiful creature in all of this desert planet. Like the
mhm.
only one that looks remotely attractive, it's her. She's utterly gorgeous, and he's like, so we're married now. Okay, well, that's cool. um and then all of a sudden I mean, look, he can speak her language within like 15 minutes of talking to her, and it's something simple. He's like, oh, once you get the vowels right, and I'm like, yeah, it is not that easy. Okay, I used to speak 7 languages, and 3 of them are romantic languages, and it is not that simple. I don't care who you are, how brilliant you are, you're not going to learn their language in 15 minutes. Okay, this is not phenomenon. So there were a couple holes for sure in the plot and the realisticness of it, but I still really liked it. I'm glad we got to watch it again because it
Mhm.
had been a while. My son loved it. I think this is a great like family film. There's
Mhm.
only like a little bit of violence that gets kind of gory at the end when you see the guy get decapitated, but it's not like super bloody. There's like other than that kind of violence, there's not huge sex scenes or anything like that. So in general, I think this is up there, like as far as like a good mindless kind of family film that's an adventure
Yeah.
around space.
Around space. It is a very tame PG-13. So yeah, so there you go. So yeah, that is a Stargate. It was a really fun one to go back to. It was really fun to play around with that cocktail we made for it as well, and definitely going to send me down a bit of my own Stargate rabbit hole to go back and check in on some of those TV shows and probably whip up a couple variations of this Galaxy cocktail. If you make up a Galaxy cocktail and want to send us a picture of it, we would love that, and we would love to know what you think about Stargate, which of the TV series was your favorites, and what your favorite James Spader movie is, because now I want to go watch all of James Spader's movies again because he's the best. So let us know all that stuff. You can do that on our social medias. It's at Drink the Movies on Instagram and X and Threads and Blue Sky and Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. If you want to get more information about the podcast, see our recipes and cocktails and all that stuff, you can do that at our website. It's www.drinkthemovies.com. If you want to find out where to get some bonus content to support the podcast, we really appreciate that. That's at patreon.com/drink the movies. And if you want to check out the merchandise shop, that is drinkthemovies.square.site. All those links are down in the show description. So go check those out. We appreciate everyone who takes the time to do that and to share all the stuff with us. And we definitely appreciate people who take some time. It's just a second or two to leave us a review and some feedback. Michaela, where can they do that?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, anywhere where Spotify podcasts are supported and distributed. We couldn't do what we do without our listeners. So if you're liking what you're hearing, there is a subscribe button that you can press. If you're really liking what you're hearing, there is a way to share us all of our things on social media. You can leave us a 5-star review. That really helps us get all the Drink the Movie stuff out there. And it's the best job in the world. We couldn't do it without you. So thanks so much for listening.
Absolutely. So that is going to wrap it up for Stargate. Thanks everyone for coming along on this journey with us, and we'll talk to you next time on
Drink
Drink
the
the
Movies.
Movies.
Bok, 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 bok.
Chicken. It's chicken.
Tastes like chicken.